So,
Yeah,
hello and welcome,
I'm really
and
happy that
happy
you go ahead.
happy Saturday. And I am so thrilled to be here and spend the morning with you and with our viewers.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm finding different ways of looking at what resilience and leadership, and I came across Magdalena probably a year ago maybe. And we started our conversations and some collaborating, and your story is one that I'm drawn to, and I'm drawn to how you use neuroscience and writing with with the work that I'm doing. And I just want to say I got a little scrambled with the room messing up. So I'm settled. My brain is going from how do I work this out mode to oh wait, we're doing it now. So
Perfect. So this is a perfect leading by example. So we're going to mentor and model for others what happens when technology doesn't collaborate. So again,
right.
welcome everyone that's joining now, and welcome John. If you can introduce yourself for my readers and my viewers, and tell
Yes.
them a little bit about yourself, and then I will do the same. So let's start there.
Yes, I'm John Christy. I'm a retired San Francisco firefighter paramedic, and I worked in emergency services for 36 and a half years in San Francisco. And the reason I write, I'll circle back to the reason I write, is I had a serious injury in a fire in the early 2000s and ended up being diagnosed with post traumatic stress disorder. And in the recovery of that, I started to see how resilience would have helped early in my career. And I found myself working with people. I called the peer support team for help. And then I ended up being one of the peer support team leaders a couple of years later and started moving us more towards being proactive. And when I retired in 2018, got a coaching certification, and now I work with leaders and one-on-one coaching, and I work with groups, with teams, and helping them to coordinate more effectively and anticipate difficulty. That's my message. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to happen. That's beautiful. Thank you, John. And I'm Magdalena Ponurska. I am the creator of Courage to Create, and I encountered John and his powerful story maybe a year and a half ago, and it deeply resonated with me because I loved how he approaches resilience. That's number one. Number two, I love his how powerful his story is. And I'm all about stories. I love
Yeah.
stories. And then lastly, it deeply resonated with me because he took something life event that was traumatic, and he turned that into a way to not only help himself, but also help others. And now he coaches and leverages resilience. And we'll talk more throughout our conversation about resilience. But I really want to highlight how powerful John's story is, and how powerful resilience is, and it can be in rewriting your own life, and how you can keep overcoming obstacles. So, welcome everyone. Welcome Yvette, Monica, Andy, and Alex. We are super happy to have you here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in chat. If things that we're saying resonate with you, please put three exclamation marks. That way we'll know that it's really landing. We'll try to talk about resilience from different viewpoints. And we're hoping that this conversation will really help you, and it will help with your life, and you can take one piece of wisdom from this conversation and apply it to your life immediately.
Absolutely. So, speaking of stories, Magdalena, your story resonates with me. And I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about what, how your story builds towards who you are today and how it influences your work now.
Yeah, so my story is very wild and sometimes very long. The last time, I think last time when I tried to tell my story, it took way more time than I intended. So this time I'm going to try to be very brief and focus on the highlights. So uh, I grew up in Poland. When I was 14, I got very sick after Chernobyl explosion and getting exposed to radiation. And that led to 2.5 years in a hospital. And that led into reading. So I was reading, reading like crazy.
Yeah.
And that also led to journaling because it was a way for me to process what was happening to me as a child, because I was spending most of my time with grown-ups, and they couldn't really resonate to a 14-year-old in a hospital, and what she was going through. So that's my journaling. That's how my journaling started. Then I fell in love with reading and writing, and then I switched to poetry, and I wrote poetry in Polish, and then I shared my poetry with my ex-boyfriend now, and he said that it sucked and it was awful.
Oh, no. That's
That's why
not
he's an
nice.
ex, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and I stopped writing. So I have not. So after that, right, I only journal, but I did not write, and I did not share publicly until for 20 years. And 2.5 years ago, I went back to writing as a therapy because my son at the time was 14. He ended up in a hospital. He was in a hospital for a month. So I went back to writing. I used it as a
Flashbacks.
therapy, and most importantly, this time I decided that I am actually going to share my writing,
Huh?
so people that are going through something similar are able to read what I'm going through and what I'm dealing with, and the conversations I'm having with my son and with my partner, and how it was affecting my work life, and that decision came from this one particular moment. So I was sitting in the ER with one of my all-time favorite journals, and here we go. And there was a dad that was sitting across from me, and so I'm sitting there like furiously
Yes.
scribbling, and he looks at me and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm processing my emotions." And he is like, "What? Tell me more
Yeah.
about it."
Yeah. Wait a minute. I
So
need
here,
to do that.
yeah, so here we are sitting, it's like midnight, sitting in the ER. Our son was 14 at the time. He was there with his daughter, who was 9. And we're talking about journaling and writing, and then I took couple pages out of my journal, and I was like, "Here, you do
Try it. Yeah.
it."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how it all started, and the rest is just history.
Yeah. I I wasn't as deliberate until I met you because
Okay.
I remember early in my recovery from post-traumatic stress,
Mhm.
I was told journal. every day. And I'm thinking it's kind of like this is what I did at 8 o'clock, and this is what I did at 7 o'clock, and
Mhm.
and I didn't see it, right? But then as time went on, I found myself just sort of, writing down, and all of a sudden there's like 5 pages, and I was feeling a little differently.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's it's something that I feel it comes out of me when I'm writing. And for me, I'll speak for myself. There's a difference
Mhm.
when I'm using my journal
Yeah.
than when I'm typing. Now I could still get
Yes.
something typing. Something happens.
Yeah.
But when I put the pen in my hand and maybe I'm on an airplane or it doesn't
Mhm.
matter, and I can just say whatever I want.
Mhm.
And so can you, because I know that you've done the research on neuroscience, but can you tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about why I was experiencing that from a neuroscience place?
Yeah, absolutely. And so thank you for the question. But before I answer, I want to highlight something that you
Okay.
said that was absolutely brilliant. So number one is journaling. So when people hear the word journaling, and it was so perfect when you said it, what they hear is, I'm going to write that, exactly what you were saying. 8 a.m. I hate breakfast.
Yeah.
8:15 I did laundry. I know I'm just making things up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just a list of things that are happening. And to me, it is it's journaling in a list form. I
Right.
don't know if there's a better word for it, but it's to me,
Chronology, like writing down the chronology of my day so I don't
yeah.
forget. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great, yeah, so that's a great point. And that is very helpful because it helps your brain, it lowers your cognitive load. So that does have a benefit. But to me, journaling is completely different.
Yes.
Journaling is sitting down and allocating 20 minutes, 10 minutes, and pick any, like it really
Sure.
doesn't matter, and really focus and being focused. So that's number one, on what am I feeling. So emotions, right? Processing my emotions. What am I experiencing right now? So that includes all five senses: smell, taste, auditory processing, visual, and then I'm forgetting one more sense. And including all those five senses into what I'm journaling about.
Right.
And journaling can take on so many different forms, because you can journal about. So I know that people journal about the past, people journal about the present, and I'm a big proponent about journaling, or what I call future scripting. So that is journaling and writing about your future,
Yes.
and that really helps with creating your future and helping your brain actually look for data points, and that reinforce what you are creating. So I will. So here's a very simple example of future scripting. Um, a l- Quite a few of us have challenges, in terms of going and asking for raises.
Okay.
And so having uh, having the ability to write out that scene, so it's a future scene that I'm writing out as I'm having that conversation with my boss, asking for $10,000, right? But it's more than just writing down. In the next 6 weeks, I'm going to ask for $10,000, right? You could
Right.
do that. However,
More like an
it
affirmation. It's not that.
right. It's not that, because it defeats the purpose. Like, affirmation in my and I know it's very controversial and
It's
some
okay.
people might get activated. Affirmations in my mind
They can write about it.
they can write about it, right?
Yeah.
so so it's more than affirmation. It is right. It's being able to really put yourself in that particular scene and experience yourself and experience what your boss is saying, right? So you can really integrate all of your five senses. You
Right.
can integrate the conversation you are having with your boss, and you can anticipate what he or she is going to say, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I love it, is because you are emotionally experiencing the situation, you are prepared, and and you are able, or your brain is able to process that along with your body, right? Because it's so important that your brain and your body are aligned. Because
Yeah.
if I'm experiencing fear and I'm terrified to go and ask my boss for the $10,000, it really doesn't matter how many times I say to myself, uh, I'm successful, and I'm getting $10,000, because the fear is blocking that message getting into my brain.
Right.
So the more I the more make my brain feel safe, the more I make it realistic, the more successful this conversation is going to be. And I have done it with my clients, and then I practice it.
Yeah.
We get to practice it, and then the funny part about it is when I play the role of the boss, and I would say, no, you cannot have that. You cannot have the $10,000. The person that I was doing with, he said, "Oh, but you told me to write it and it's going to happen." And I said, "Yes, and I'm preparing you for the no. So now what are you going to say having done this exercise?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I can ask for extra time off, and I can ask for $5,000 that would support my courses that I want to take."
Right.
I'm like, "Oh, that's brilliant, right?" And so then, actually what happened in that particular case was that when he went and he had this conversation, he got a $5,000 raise, and then he got more PTO.
That's
But
great.
again, it was like being prepared and taking action. And the action part is not only like actually going and asking, but taking action is actually writing it down and living into that future and processing those emotions and processing and like really feeling in your body. Affirmations to me are just missing the component of like, I don't feel that in my body. And as you know, from your own experiences, when we are in a fight or flight response, right? Like when we have PTSD, we have tendencies not to be in our body because it's a protective mechanism, so we don't have to feel the pain.
Yeah. So a couple points I want to bring out
Mm.
there that uh, when we are triggered, our body goes into protection. It doesn't. We don't need to think because the lion is chasing us. Doesn't matter. What did the lion have a good childhood? Were the siblings nice to it? It's coming after us, and we need to run. So the prefrontal doesn't need to be activated, and then the body goes into protection mode. So then when we can have practices to bring ourselves out of that and be in a thinking place, there's more likelihood that we can use a reasoning center. So this is where your practice, in my assessment, is so powerful because we're pre-programming our mind to stay out of a trigger. And you wrote in an article that I've put in the chat, and I see a couple people have joined since then. So I'm going to do that one more time. And I want to ask you, what is the benefit of the 20 minutes? Because I know in the article you say,
Yeah.
set the timer,
Hmm.
write for 20 minutes, and then stop.
Yeah.
So tell us what is the benefit of the time period of, because I might feel complete at 15 or,
Yeah.
get activated like, oh no, oh no. So tell us a little bit about what you wrote about. And I
It's yeah.
encourage
It's so
everybody who hasn't read it to read that article and sign up for Magdalena's newsletter.
Thank you, John. It's so funny because I've experimented with different times. So I've done 10 and 15 and 30, and 20 is based on my experimenting with clients. 20 was the most ultimate time, and then someone said, oh, isn't 20 minutes a Pomodoro technique? And I was like, oh my God, yes,
Wow.
it is 20. You are absolutely right. So what happens in our brain within the 20-minute frame, right? Framework. So for the first couple of minutes, it's the warm up session, right? So you could look at it from that perspective. Like we're just putting on paper, our thoughts in terms of like what do we want the future scene to look like, and then, as we are starting to do that, and we're starting to engage all of our five senses, within minute 5 to 7, this is where it's really really funny because our brain says like, yeah, no, I still don't believe you.
Yeah.
I don't feel safe. So you can tell me on paper all you want about how successful this conversation is going to be, but I really don't trust you yet, right?
Yeah.
So then, as we are starting to engage all our senses, and as we are pulling the emotions, this is where the brain it's actually starting to feel safe. And the way I describe it and the way it happens for me, it's like I can feel my brain relax, and then the rest of my body is relaxing because I'm tapping into all the positive emotions, right? So I'm describing the future scene, and I'm saying, I'm relaxed, my body, I'm taking deep breaths, and I'm sitting in this beautiful environment, and I'm smelling these amazing things, and I can feel like my shoulders and my whole body is relaxing, and then my brain says, okay, now I can trust you.
Ah, right. So we take the time to overcome those
Right.
feelings.
Right. So to get through those barriers and get our brain to relax, and then like truly get immersed in that scene and engage all senses, and then pull the emotions. And then because now at the minute 10, 15, my brain says, okay, now I can trust you. I can start speculating in terms of who do I get to be as this person and as this new identity that is having a conversation, asking for
Ah,
more or asking for what I want, right? So the fear is no longer there. I'm no longer in my lizard brain.
right, right. Do we have to be reasonable or can we
No.
be extravagant?
You can be as extravagant as you want, right? As long as you have, and this is where you get to monitor your body and see, do I feel, how am I breathing, right? Like, is it shallow or is it deep? Is my body relaxed? Am I like am I slouching or am I more relaxed? So you get to really, really be in your body, and
Yeah.
then and then be as be dream big, go
Yeah.
go for the moon, end up on one of the stars, but just let yourself be as creative as you want to, and truly feel the emotions, right? Like feel the joy, feel the gratitude, open your heart, and notice your how your breathing is changing. Notice how much more relaxed you are when you open your heart. It's again, to me it's such a beautiful experience.
Something that I've noticed is there's also a tendency for me to have synchronistic events, like coincidences. We always hear the example of when I decide that I want a red, pickup truck, all of a sudden I'm driving around and I'm seeing a bunch of those.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that?
So that's our reticular activation system.
Uh-huh.
And the best way so far I've came up, the best description so far I came up about in terms of what the reticular activation system is. It's when you think about radio dials, old times. So when
Uh-huh.
radios
Yeah, I
still
remember.
had
I was
dials,
there.
yes, right. Which channel are you tuning into, right? So when you are seeing the red cars, the channel that you are in is called the red car channel. Or if you are tuning into the my book is finished. I wrote a book and it's the best New York Times bestseller list. That's the channel you are tuning in, and that's
Uh, I
where
like that.
um, all the synchronicities are happening because people start DMing you.
Yeah,
You see things in your inbox that have been there for a really long time, but you've never thought about, like, oh, I can reach out to this person and I can talk to them because they've been through this journey.
sure.
Or you can get a DM from someone that says, "Oh my God, I just read this your article, and I think that it has an incredible opportunity and potential for a book." And that happens because you've tuned into the channel called New York Times bestseller author list.
Yes. I like that radio channel analogy. I like that a lot. I I th I do something similar with resilience. I talk about, especially with leaders, I say to
Mhm,
them, instead of reacting when there's a problem, anticipate it.
mhm,
And I give the example, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I live on the Hayward Fault. I know there's gonna be an earthquake. It's
yeah.
it's it would be silly, it would be foolish of me not to have some sort of preparation for that. What I didn't anticipate was a pandemic.
Yes.
But when the pandemic did show up, much of my planning for an earthquake went
Mhm.
straight into that. And I was able to, kind of regroup and
Pivot.
make sure that yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, let's chat a little bit about resilience, right? So I love your approach to resilience. And before the live, we got a chance to chat a little bit about resilience as one of our core strengths.
Yeah.
So in terms of coaching, what are some of the main what is the main focus for you as a coach in leveraging resilience in terms of preparation?
So I teased it a little bit when I was
Mhm,
talking about the earthquake, but there's a difference between so here I am, an event happens and I get knocked down, and then I just want to get back to where I was. And many times that's not possible because we
mhm,
have experienced something. And in emergency services, we think of the really horrible situations that what we call them critical incidents. Maybe there's a death of a child or a rescue doesn't work out perfectly. And so we can't experience that. We're always going to have that experience in our nervous system. But my work is towards going above. It's called post-traumatic growth. So when I think back to my experience of getting injured in the fire and all this stuff happening, I'm actually stronger than I was before that happened. And I'm not glad that it happened. I I
Mhm.
but I don't wanna give up what it gave me. It's sort of a paradox. And so when I'm working with leaders or ideally I'll work with their team also,
Mhm.
and I bring them to a place of saying, "Oh, here's where we are, and here's where we wanna go, and what's in the way." So many people do that, right? But what's the thing we haven't thought of? And it's not to brainstorm and think of a bunch of different things that we can plan for. It's to train our minds to be prepared for the unforeseen situation. And when we start doing that, and when we get that into our nervous system and that becomes our way of being, when the thing we didn't think of happens, and it will,
Mhm.
our nervous system stays calm. We're still able to use our reasoning center. And I've had several leaders that I work with, and I go up the food chain as far as I can. And they have said how much that changed how they are able to handle the day-to-day stuff because it's like, oh, I didn't never thought of that is different when you're in your thinking mind than it is when you're in defense mode.
Yeah.
I work towards helping people out of their defense mode.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So let me say this different a little bit differently. so so you are helping people to rewire their brain and create new neural pathways. So they are pruning the old neural pathways. They are
Yeah.
growing the new neural pathways or creating new highways in their brain to actually see events that possibly that have been traumatic, but seeing those events as opportunities for
Exactly.
post-traumatic growth.
Right.
So when something happens, instead of going into the fight or flight response, their brain has been rewired and they're able to go into, oh,
Yeah.
this has happened, and now I can respond to this from a very different place.
Yeah. One where I can keep my reasoning faculties online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And
Love it.
I'm moved by that article that you wrote, and I have sent that to several clients since it came out. And I have a CEO reading it and saying, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna do this 20-minute thing." So there's a sense of, you know, also, I want to point out that it's in the collaboration with people, which is what we're doing here.
Yeah.
But I get my clients to collaborate in areas that they hadn't thought that they would before.
Yeah, which is fantastic, and they're able to see, see resilience in a very different light, right? Because
Yes.
that's what makes it real. So
Yeah.
let's take a case where the CEO or the team leader is writing about what resilience looks like at the team level. Like think how awesome to me, like how cool it is to have this type of a team exercise or team activity where as a team we're writing out a future script of what resilience looks for us as a team, what a resilient team is, what happens if
Yeah.
whatever industry you are in, that I don't know, some bad
Doesn't
things
matter.
happen, right?
It goes all across. Yeah.
right, and then having that collaborative experience of a team, it really, I strongly believe that it brings us closer, and it makes for a more tight and more emotionally connected team.
Yeah, yeah, and it's different. I want to point out that it's not cheerleading.
Oh God, yeah, no, absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
it's not. You can make your power move all day long.
Yeah.
This needs to be embedded in the nervous system with
Yes.
intention,
Yeah.
and once that happens, you can't unexperience that. Same
That's
to the
actually. Mhm.
Same to the event. You can't unexperience the event. But once the growth starts happening, you can't unexperience how much growth comes from that. And it snowballs. So it's like, oh, I want to see the world because that's how it came for me. It was like, oh my goodness, this started happening and I'm stronger now. Where else can I have this happen? And in my story, it's like, I got to share this with the world because this is something that really this is big, right?
Mm.
This is a big
Mhm.
thing.
I love, yeah, I love that, and that is so, that is so juicy. We should do
I know.
those things, like the lives more often. But it's so juicy because you are so right. Like when you said that you cannot unsee it. I was like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like when it happened, like once the growth happened, it's impossible to go back to the old neural pathways.
Right.
You're always creating the new highways in your brain, and
Yeah.
you're so right. Like the only thing you can see moving forward is the new opportunities and the growth. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's brilliant. Perfect.
Yeah.
um
So
Let's see if
I
there's
think
uh, if there's any questions in the chat. Thank you for everyone that joined. If anything we said resonated with us, just put if you can throw in a word into a chat, three exclamation marks, something that we know that it landed with us. We know it landed with us.
yeah.
Because I'm super excited. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go and write about it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
we're more super curious how the experience was for you. So as people are thinking, John, what is one takeaway for you personally? And I'm putting you on the spot. Uh,
No, it's good. I
that
like that.
that you're taking from this conversation, and you are going to go and do it and apply to your life right away.
Well, I would say when I was preparing for this conversation,
Hmm.
I didn't prepare for the technical difficulty and for having me
Yep.
invite you and it says something's wrong, and then we switched over to here,
Yeah.
and I just took a few breaths, rejoined, and so it's the in the practice. This is something
Hmm.
that this isn't a book you read and then you know the story and it always happens. This is more along the lines of saying,
Yes.
okay, when the real world shows up,
Hmm.
and it will,
Yeah.
what are we going to do? And I want to emphasize for those that have not had the opportunity to look at that article yet, there's something in this 20-minute write it down thing, my future self, that has me thinking. And it is a version of something I was doing, but it fine tunes it. So my practice also is as a lifelong learner, I'm always looking. And when I
Hmm.
find something, I'll double click on that and then just say, okay, there's something here. And be willing to be a learner, be careful about being an expert, especially if you are.
Yeah.
And that's what comes up for me. Thanks for doing this
I
today.
I love it. And so for me, the takeaway is you cannot unlearn things that you have already learned, and I just absolutely love it. So that's number one, and then number two, in terms of to your point of technical difficulties, they will they always happen. Something always happens, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's
Life.
the yeah, life happens. So it's leveraging resilience and leveraging our skill sets that we have picked up and acquire through all these processes, and just pivoting on the spot, and most importantly, of course, always having fun, and connecting and collaborating,
Yes.
and being grateful. And so I'm incredibly grateful for this opportunity to
Likewise.
spend Saturday morning, evening with you, and with everyone that joined us, and everyone that will watch this live. And my hope for all of us is that we'll take one piece of wisdom, one pearl from this conversation, and apply it immediately, and be in action, because that's what makes the biggest difference.
I love that. And that's a great way to conclude the conversation. Thank you, Magdalena.
Thank you,
Till
John.
next time.
Thanks. Bye.